Hi everybody, so I want to give you just an update really quickly about how the studio is set up now. So when you come into the studio, you're going to see on the ground O's and X's, okay? Now this is the first spot, so it has both an X and an O. But if we go down, you'll see there's an X and there's an O. So the way that the studio is spaced out, where the O's are puts us 8 foot apart. If you're standing in the center of your mat and then the person next to you standing in the center of their mat, from person to person, it's 8 foot. The O's are where we were traditionally putting the pennies. And that allows us to fit like 20 students in the studio. But since we're beyond 6 feet, I wanted to do a second option that put us right at 6 feet. And that's the option for the X's. So when you come into the studio, you'll notice the X's are a little bit closer together than the O's. And if you set the mats up behind where the X's are, that allows us to fit like 27, maybe 28 people in the studio versus 20. So if you're teaching the busier classes, or you have a lot of people show up, the instructions are go into the studio, find an O, set your mat up behind the O. If you go beyond 20 students, you could come in and make an announcement, say, hey, we're having more students show up. Everybody's gonna move their mat to an X. And that just moves everybody 1.5 feet closer, so it's 6 foot from person to person if they're standing in the center of their mat. Another thing that's a good thing to cue, if somebody's standing at the back of their mat, and then this person's standing at the top of their mat, we're gonna be very close to each other. If everybody is at the top of their mats all together, every row is at the top of their mats, that's gonna put us front to back, the distance that more people will be comfortable with. But if one person in the front row is at the back of their mat, and one person at the second row is at the top of their mat, they can be 1 foot apart. So when you're cueing your bigger classes, just make sure that you cue, okay, everybody to the front of the mat. Or when people lay down, if some people are laying with their feet towards the mirror and some people are laying with their feet towards the back wall, their heads are like 1 foot or 2 apart. But if everybody's laying with their feet to the back wall, then everybody will be at least 6 feet apart. So that's the difference. That's what's going on with the X's and the O's in the studio. I'm going to Cottonwood tonight and I'm hopefully gonna do the same thing there. I'll see how it works out, how many people we can fit with either one. And they're permanently on the floor, so they can't, like the pennies were tough because they would get kicked or swept up. So this will just be permanently on the floor. You won't have to worry about it. It'll just be there for you. Another thing that I wanted to mention is the mind-body sign-on is different now, and I'm getting a text from a lot of teachers saying they can't log on. So MindBody created something called MindBody Scheduler, which is totally different than the MindBody software that we use. And they thought it would be a really great idea that when you go to the homepage, that they would have the login go to MindBody Scheduler, which we don't use. So when you first go to MindBody, it'll automatically put in the username and password for you. And if you click sign in and it says wrong password, you're on Scheduler. And I'll send you a picture. I took a picture of this. But in the upper right-hand corner of the MindBody login, you'll see something that says staff login. That's us. So you gotta click on staff login and then put in the username and password, and that takes you into MindBody. So just to confuse you a little bit, MindBody decided to rework things during the shutdown. So if you're having problems logging in, the initial page, that's why you gotta look for staff login. And then, payroll. So a couple notes on payroll. So when we had the last meeting, we were talking about what the costs were for the studio and what we were bringing in and how obviously we're not meeting that. And some people were saying, well, why don't you take away bonuses? And I've looked at it and I don't want to take away bonuses. If you're working bigger classes, it's more work. There's more people to pick up after. There's more login, there's more passes. And I want you to be compensated for that. So I am still paying bonuses. So when you're calculating your payroll, make sure that you calculate your bonuses in there. If I've got to do workshops or I've got to do other things to make up the difference, or if shit really hits the fan, I'll look at other options in the future. But as of right now, I am paying bonuses. The only thing that's different is I can't pay bonuses on people who are taking class for free. So when you have teachers that are coming to class, or like Leah is does all of our marketing. So if you have Leah or other teachers who are taking classes for free, I can pay bonuses on people who are monthly members or paying students, but just not on teachers or staff that are practicing for free, and not on the special someone. But all of your regular students, you're getting your same bonuses on. And then, so payroll is, and everybody has this in their paperwork that you got when you first got hired on, but it might have been a while since you looked at it. Payroll starts at 2 students. So 2 to 5 students is that $15. And then 6 to 10 students is the 30. So if you're teaching and you only have 1 student show up, that's not a paid class. It's just, especially if it's a monthly member and they're paying like $4 a class, I just, at this point, I'm not in a position to pay the $15 on that. And it's always been 2 to 5 students. So 1 student has never been a paid class. So one of the ways to navigate that, if you have somebody that comes in and they're there for yoga and you only have 1 student show up, is to obviously thank them for coming and just let them know that it's Jen's rules for the amount of heat, the amount that it costs to heat the studio, to teach for 1 student it's just not, it's not something that I can do, and share with them the schedule. I think we consolidated the evening classes, so we were having 2 evening classes, and they were getting anywhere from 0 to 1 to 3 or 4. So we combined the evening classes. So Monday is now 4:30, Tuesday 6:30, Wednesday 4:30, Thursday 6:30. So there's just 1 evening class now in Sedona, instead of 2. And I'm thinking that I'm going to advertise it a little bit and let people know they're slower classes. But I'm thinking that we probably won't have a lot of 0-1 student classes. But just in case you do, just have 1 student show up. I mean, you're free to teach. If you want to teach and you're like, I'm here, I want to practice, I'm going to practice anyways, I had a long day, they want to practice, we're just going to do it. Fine, you absolutely can. It's just not a paid class. So just some clarity on that. And things have been going pretty good. We're slowly seeing more and more students start to come back. We're still definitely not where we need to be to make bills, but we did make bills for June. Everything's paid, rent's paid, mortgage paid, utilities are all paid, and that was thanks to the donations that came in early in the month. So we are set for June. As long as we make bills for July, we're good. And I'll check back in after halfway through July if we're not making it, if there's not enough coming in to pay bills, of different strategies and things that we might do, of group events and special events and workshops and things like that to try to boost us up. But anyways, I love you all and thank you. I hope the X's and the O's on the ground help, so that you can have easy check-in and hopefully our classes continue to build back up. And I love you and I thank you, and I'll talk to you soon.